Going live.
It's 2200.
Live.
It's Wednesday. Hit 9. Garrett's Guitars. Fabulous. Guitar Talk. Where we talk about guitars. I'll just move this over here. Sorry. Getting things. Actually, you move up a little bit. My head's bigger than yours. Yeah, I look like I'm too far back there. Yeah. Anyways, this is the professionality that you're dealing with here, folks. Thanks for coming by. And we're here to talk about guitars, guitar repair, guitar amplifiers, guitar players, guitar, anything to do with guitars.
Almost.
And so anyone out there can join in the chat. Just leave a message, say hi. First of all, we like it when people just chime in and tell us where you're from, because that's interesting. We got people all over the world.
Yes.
And then Paul from Pennsylvania is here. He just chimed in there. And what else was I going to say about that? Oh, yeah. So join the conversation. Ask questions if you have questions, because we need topics. I didn't prepare well enough for today. The topic is how to prepare for this. And
I have a topic, but I'm waiting until 6:30.
Yeah, we're going to make you wait. We got something really cool to show you, but you have to wait until halftime.
Hopefully Mike from Budapest is going to be here. That's why we're waiting.
Yeah. So it's a cool surprise. So I hope you stick around for that. And then sometimes it's a good kick it off kind of thing, just to talk about some cool, weird things we've seen or done lately. Let's talk about grounding the bridge on a hardtail Strat. We just came up with a solution for that. So first of all, why isn't the bridge grounded?
I didn't come up with it. I just remembered the solution.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I mean, I can see why it's difficult. Typically, all Fender guitars have a bridge ground and single coil pickups. So single coil pickups, as you all know, are kind of noisy with 60 cycle hum. So for some reason, once you add the human body to that circuit by touching the strings through the bridge to the bridge ground to the electronics to the cable to the amp, it gets quieter. Not totally quiet, but it's better.
Quieter,
we've all experienced let go of your strings on stage with your amp on 8, and it's loud. Hold them, and it's not so bad. But a friend of mine brought in his 63, is that what we decided? Hardtail Strat with a little bit of noise. I've known the guitar for many years. Him and I played in a band, and he had a twin on 7, and it's a Strat. The twin on
Strat noise.
Yeah. You find your spots on stage where it's not so bad.
Minimize it a little bit.
Don't
turn a little bit one way or the other.
But recently, probably because he's not playing so loud, the noise is more of an issue. And he came in, when I touch the pickup screw, it's quieter. When touching the strings, I said, let me check it out. Sure enough, no bridge ground. And I thought, well, that's because there's no cavity for the wire to go from the pickguard route through to the bridge route into the back to solder to the claw of the tremolo system to connect it to the strings. So, yeah, I guess maybe hardtail Strats don't normally have bridge grounds. So it's a 63. So I said, well, I mean, it's always been this way. I mean, do you want me to change it? It's original. So he said yes. So I thought of the original Fender Jazz basses had a strip of thin copper that went from the cavity to a shield, which was connected to the ground and just laid between the bridge pickup and went underneath the bridge. It was a 1/4 inch wide, 2 inches long.
Now, to Fender's credit, he intended for the cover to be over that, if you're not to see it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't really going to be like that, but everyone get this thing out of here, took the covers off.
Except for Brian Wilson.
And except for Brian Wilson, who did not play a lot of bass just for those couple of years before he gave up touring.
So anyways.
It looks beautiful with the covers on it. If you see Brian Wilson playing the bass on YouTube.
Oh, they're just totally in the way.
Yeah.
It's like,
obviously a
right
piano player.
there and right there, and there's covers in the way. So anyways, he's going to bring it back in a few days, and we're going to put a little thin piece of copper between the pickguard and the bridge, which on this guitar is maybe 1/8 of an inch, so it won't even be visible. Yeah. And that'll ground his bridge and strings, which should make it quieter for him, at least when he's touching the strings, instead of having to touch a pickup screw.
Something that's metal, yeah.
So
yeah, it'll make a minimal. And here's the other thing: every once in a while, someone comes in the store and says, "Hey, I got this Strat recently, and it's making all this noise." And, oh yeah, bring it in. And they plug it in, turn it on, and it's just Strat noise.
Fine.
60 cycle hum. Strat and single coil pickups are not humbucking.
Right.
They don't buck the hum. And just that regular old hum noise is normal.
Yeah, it's part of the sound.
Yeah. So
pretty much all Fender instruments don't have a humbucker.
Yeah. We just kind of make that sound, and everyone just put up with it. I mean, you had a really good explanation for this one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're like, back when these things were invented, all guitar amps were like 5 watts.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so there was no such thing as a 100-watt amp.
I think I hear a little hiss.
Yeah.
It's on 10.
You just turn your amp all the way up and play.
Right.
But then when people started playing Strats through Marshall stacks, then you hear a hum.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine what Hendrix sounded like on stage if you let go of the strings.
Yeah.
Probably never did.
Yeah.
That's, I played a jazz bass for 30 years, and you never let go of the strings.
Mm-hmm.
You drink your beer or what, but you're always touching
you
something.
Always got a hand on it. So once again, for those of you just joining us, thanks for joining us. Chime in. We did lose one viewer during that talk, but we gained 3, so now we're back on top. Chime in, tell us, just say hi and where you're from. It's kind of interesting just to, get in the conversation a little there. East Bay Baser is from Richmond, California. We don't know your real name, but it's nice to see you. Margaret is here. She's been back. She's a returning. And we got Mike Endicott in Hungary. Just
Mike's
signed
here?
on. Yeah, Mike is here.
Well, should we open the package?
Should we
Mike.
do the big reveal?
Are you sitting down, Mike?
Yes.
Say hi so question. I know for sure you're here.
Well, he chimed in there. So,
but he might not be paying attention.
Well, he doesn't pay much attention here to anyone.
Come on, Mike. Just say hi and sit down.
He just went to get a drink. Well, when Mike gets back on, this is a big reveal for Mike, too. He's part of the story. So, how many guitars? It happens. Strats hum.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I think really the reason that John was hearing that hum, you were saying one reason is he's listening a little, he's playing at a quieter volume or something, so the noise to sound ratio has changed. But I also think it has something to do with him being retired and having a little too much time on his hands. Just sitting at home playing guitar for hours and going like, wait a minute, that's a slight buzz. Yeah. It's always been there. You've owned the guitar since 1980. What?
Well, he did say it was not all the time, and then we got into the house wiring subject.
Yeah.
Well, the house was built in the 1800s, and maybe one outlet's noisy, and who knows, phasing issues. Yeah. But anyways, okay, we'll put the thing in, and at least it'll be as much ground as the guitar can have.
Marshall, Ohio is saying hello from the north. I think he's in Maine. I think he's up
Maine.
Up Maine. His name may be Marshall, but he's an amp expert. He chimed in on a bunch of amp stuff before.
Well,
okay, Mike is here. I'm sitting down on the edge of my seat.
Okay, be right back.
Glued to the screen. Check this out.
Well, I have a few words before we reveal.
Okay, so we had to talk about
a little bit of history.
Oh, you make sure you just get in the image there. Oh, you gotta set that over there. Careful, keep it out of the frame. Okay, there you go. All right, so
about
Spencer's building.
I forget how many years it was. 6 or 7 years ago. My friend Mike Endicott, guitar repairman and great musician, moved to Budapest, and he
moved from Pennsylvania to Budapest.
Well, yeah, it's not like Kittery to Pennsylvania.
Well, here's the thing. He's just like, that's it. I'm done.
Right. So over the course of a year or so, he would appear here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, with a pickup full of stuff, parts, guitars, things to sell, things to put in the drawer.
Unfinished projects. Yeah, things for...
and so I think it was the last thing he handed to me was this carcass of a guitar. An archtop electric from Kay, really old.
That if he wasn't so busy, he probably would have burnt it. He
Yeah,
just didn't have the
maybe.
time to
Right.
set fire to it.
Yeah. So it's yours. I'm not. I don't want to do it. I'm done. Okay, cool. So it sat around for a little while. Then I got going on it. Tried to figure out what it was. Could find out basically nothing about it. And about 4 years ago, gave it to Peter Meyer, who was a luthier friend of ours who is now here in Portsmouth area, but was in Gloucester, Mass. I said, I got a restoration project for you. And went, what the hell is that? It's an old K. That's all I know. So he had it for a couple of years. So, take your time, whatever you want to do. When it's done, we'll sell it and you'll get paid and we'll all make some money. So he returned it to me after a couple of years, did everything, neck off, refret, new nut, made a bridge, put all the hardware on it. I think he did something inside. I forget what. And it came back with he had it was a Telly hot rails.
Yeah, Telly.
Like a humbucker Telly bridge pickup, because that's what the hole in the body was for.
It could fit, yeah.
But it sounded terrible. That's not the right pickup. So, okay, I know a guy who makes pickups, Scott Miller at Stonewall Pickups. So he told Scott the whole story. He did way more research and found out that it was from roughly 38 to 40. Found out what the pickup looked like. Basically, it's a P90 with a bar magnet, kind of 3/4 size. So anyways, this all took a couple more years.
Yeah, let's show them.
But now it's done, and here it is.
Here it is.
One of the strangest guitars, perhaps.
On the headstock.
Yeah.
This is a K, of which we've only found one other in existence.
Yep. As far as I can tell, there's 2 of these in the world. I'm not exaggerating. I've spent many hours.
So it was kind of a deluxe version, apparently. They are bound front and back with an elaborate
under there.
Binding. Yeah.
Tortoiseshell cover over the pickup.
And when I saw that, I was like, oh, there's Scott being cool again. Maybe he should have just made the thing that, no, that's what it looked like. He made a reproduction of that cool, weird oval pickup.
So the only reason we had any clues was somebody sold one just like this, the same model, on Reverb 7 years ago. So if you research enough K arch tops from vintage K arch tops, you'll find a picture of that because it's been reposted on 100 different sites.
So he did a neck reset.
Yeah.
He must have repaired the body too, probably, right?
Yeah.
Neck joint had come apart.
Yeah, it was inside.
Refretted it. Yeah, inside of it.
Bridge. He made the tortoiseshell pieces. I mean, literally all we had was the body and the neck.
Yeah.
So everything else, parts that we had laying, or Peter had laying around, or he fabricated.
Nut, of course, and the saddle, and then a few parts, but a few new parts on it. Yeah. So a labor of love guitar for sure. Does it have a truss rod?
It has a rod.
It doesn't need
to
one.
The 12th fret. Scott pointed out to me.
Yep.
Normally they go to the 14th, but for some reason
it has a metal rod, right?
Here.
Yeah,
right.
So it's the thing they do is what they call the steel reinforced neck. What year do you suspect this was?
We're guessing. My guess is they started making them in 37, 38, and probably stopped at World War II in 41, 42. Yeah. So I just threw out 1940. Okay. Yeah. So 1940. No,
prove me wrong. Yeah. It's the neck. I don't know if you can see is seriously hefty, so I'm not likely to do any bending, especially since it just had its fingerboard planed and refretted.
The neck looks perfect.
Just so you sight down the neck, it's just pretty perfect. So that's what Peter does. Let's see. Did Mike fall off his chair? Is the question. So what else can we tell the people about this? It looks like someone used to have. So it's still got some dings.
Well, my only other comment was a question. There is a K book, which I don't have. I wonder if anybody out there has it. and could find out something about this guitar, because
Yeah.
there is literally nothing online. It's like this guitar was never built, didn't exist.
Yeah, it's not
Thousands of
in all
other
the
K guitars,
K
but
catalogs, and
not with
so
that pickup.
obviously was an early electric guitar. It was, top of the line kind of stuff for K. Being that they had this elaborate binding and it's front and back bound.
tortoiseshell.
My favorite guitar is a K.
Mhm.
That was probably made on by the same people a few years later, but mine is got a lot of plywood. This looks to be a solid top. Oh, is that
Probably not.
Oh no, that's
Pretty rare to find a
yeah.
arch top, solid top.
Um,
But back in the 30s, who knows?
well, I mean, they can be carved tops. So essentially, what you look for to see if it was a carved top is differences in the thickness. So this could actually be, you can see how thick it is there, and it's thinner there.
Right.
Now that might speak to it being carved.
Yeah.
Um,
Peter thought it was a spruce top and a birch back and sides.
yeah.
That was common back then, birch or maple, and this doesn't look much like maple. So,
Are the markers inlaid or silkscreen? These are painted, are they? Or are they inlaid?
they're inlaid.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, supposedly they're real pearl.
Yeah.
That's what Kay used in that period. So, and Peter made a bone saddle to go into the wood bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all original, but it's restored, I guess.
Yeah, it's
as close as you can get it.
Yeah. Find another one.
With one picture to go from.
Yeah, exactly. There's that too.
What's that bridge look like?
And then this is it could sound better with a custom Scott Miller made pickup. It might sound better than the original pickup.
It probably does.
Sounds pretty good, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
So, let's see, catch up with the room here. Some people looking at the guitar. The other Doug Bennett, sorry, other Doug Bennett, but we have a friend who lives near here who's Doug Bennett, who has agreed to be a guest on the show. So we're going to have Doug Bennett may meet Doug Bennett someday.
He's got as many stories as anybody.
And he's got, he's got some, that's for sure. And I talk about Doug, we talk about people we know, but he's the guy who traded his ES 175 for a Godin.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Not that many years ago.
Yeah, he's like, no.
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, I love this thing. Yeah.
Right.
And but he got the simpler one, the Kingpin.
Yeah.
With the 1P90 on it. And he doesn't regret it to this day.
Yeah, he plays it all the time everywhere.
I really think this guitar is great. And so, yeah, this was Peter, who's been on the show once before, but he's shy. He doesn't like to be on the show. I got to talk him into coming back. Like,
actually, we talked about it the other day, about the stream.
Know.
He said, all I really want to talk about is repairs.
Yeah,
and
which is
hardly
fine.
anybody seemed to want to talk about that.
No, I think he's just taking it a little too self-conscious. Last time we just talked about pedals the entire time.
Yeah.
Because Peter Squires was here, for those of you who were last time, or just check it out when we're done today. Peter loves pedals. He has a pedal Instagram, and we just talked about pedals.
Right.
And it never stopped. So anything, there's no end to the depth we can plunge.
Well, that won't happen with me here.
No, we're talking. Yeah. Gary, tell us what you think about pedals.
You got like 3 minutes?
I did use the Kurt Cobain quote that you'd used in the past.
Yeah.
If you remember
Kurt
that.
Cobain, yeah.
I'd rather plug my guitar into my ass than a multi-effects.
No, I didn't say that because I don't know that.
No, I think you read it in Guitar Player magazine. So I thought it came up from you. But
no, I don't know that one.
All right, we'll set the game back.
I support it.
Yeah, well, he used pedal. That's the idea of Kurt Cobain used pedals, but he did not use the multi-effects. But
okay.
Have you plugged it in yet? Yes, we played it, and you plugged it in, right?
Yeah, Peter's a pretty good jazz player, so I left it up to him.
Put it through the paces.
I spent a couple hours with him and the guitar in his shop on Sunday, and he came this close to, well, I'll just keep it.
Yeah.
Because this is great. It
it
plays great. It sounds really not jazzy sound, but it's not exactly like a Barney Kessel or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another K. I shouldn't say that.
No, probably not the.
Doesn't sound like Wes Montgomery, but but then the body is a 17-inch, and it's just a little big for him.
What did Wes Montgomery play? What's the most famous? 125 or
no L5?
Oh, the L5. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
That was a fancy guitar.
They were one of the
No cutaway though.
Super
right?
400. Maybe.
Yeah, no, could have been that. Yeah, I gotta go look
probably
that
played
up.
all of them.
Yeah, he probably changed over the years, but there's one, the iconic one that you've seen him, on a lot of covers with. And definitely a Gibson.
Yeah.
That looks like one of those K 162 basses. Yeah, actually, remember they made that bass?
Yeah,
That had a weird looking pickup on it too.
Electric bass. Yeah, and looking at pictures, that one caught my eye for a second.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's a basic.
Yeah. Sheryl Crow has one, and I've seen her playing it like on TV or whatever, and it's like 36. It's long scale.
Yeah,
it's like Rio's bigger than Fender, and she's tiny.
Yeah.
So you see her playing this bass, and it looks like she's actually playing an upright and holding an upright bass sideways.
I did stumble across an interesting claim that I hadn't heard before. For apparently Kay has or used to claim to be the first company to make an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard of a number of other companies making that claim.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard Kay that in 1932 they put out a guitar with a pickup on it.
Well, Rickenbacker, there's a 33, so
yeah, and that was the Frying Pan, which is
unplayable
a guitar, but not a Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
So
could have K? Maybe they did. Maybe there was a That's
I
interesting.
thought of K.
But the story about Les Paul using a phonograph needle as
Right.
his first pickup. That was, that must have been after that though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta get the chronology. Though someone in the room mentioned something we should address here.
Yes.
It was Marshall, Ohio. It says, Gary, what's with the clean look?
It was an accident.
Yeah.
I picked up my electric beard trimming device that I use twice a year, maybe. When it starts to be a hassle, I trim it. I forgot that 2 months before, my wife had trimmed the back of my neck for me for some reason, and she'd taken the blade, the guide off.
The attachment area. Yeah.
So I didn't notice. So I went, what the? It was gone. Oh well.
Yeah.
For about 10 seconds, I thought, goatee.
Yeah.
Screw it.
That'd be,
summer's here. Let's shave it off.
And that's actually coming back quite a bit. It was gone.
Oh yeah, it was.
2
It
weeks
was like
ago.
2 days of growth when I was done shaving. So.
Yeah. So.
Oh well. I didn't mean to do it, but I didn't mean it.
Is Kay still in business? If not, how long before someone buys it? So yes, there is someone selling.
Someone bought the name, and actually they were helpful for Scott with the pickup research.
Yeah, they had some records.
Well, they didn't really know much, but when he told them or sent them a picture of the headstock, which again I can't find anywhere online, they said, "Oh, that headstock, yeah, that would put it in the late 30s." And a pickup that probably looked like this, because that was pretty much was in all of the electrics.
Yeah, all they had.
They had no specs, but they described basically a small P90 with a bar magnet. So he made that and put it in, and it sounded good, but we had put in 250K pots. So he did more research and discovered that 100K pots were pretty normal in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So we put in 100K pots, and it sounded even better. So.
All right.
So we got as close as we could.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, somebody owns the name. I'm not quite sure what they're doing with it. I don't know if there are new K guitars now.
Yeah, I'm not even sure either. I usually keep up on that. K is my second favorite American-made guitar.
Yeah, after Harmony.
Harmony, yeah. And then Harmony and K were side by side. And my favorite guitar is probably that K archtop that I have.
Right. They're like Harmony. They made a lot of different brands. I was surprised. I didn't know they made a Wahoos and what was the other one? The Strombergs.
Yeah, right.
Before there was K, there were Strombergs.
And K did Ghost, what we call now Ghost Manufacturing. I think for Stewart, SS Stewart, might have been made by K
maybe
for a while.
Yeah. What's the other? The old Craftsman.
Yeah, Craftsman. That was the old Craftsman was a K brand.
And they made for Montgomery Wards and Sears.
That's Craftsman with a K.
Right.
Oh
yeah, they're prodigious makers of guitars and cellos and basses and banjos and they made
basses.
everything.
Oh yeah, the K bass was legendary.
Right.
Most people are still talking about the K. I have a K bass. I I have a Gretsch branded K bass.
Well,
So my
made for
upright
Gretsch too, huh?
was made for Gretsch by K.
Right.
It's a K bass. It has a Gretsch emblem on it, but Gretsch didn't bother trying to make a bass, but K could make them.
Right.
So once again, folks, Gary's Guitars, Guitar Talk. We're talking about guitars. We're talking a lot about K guitars because of that lovely K we just showed you. And ask us questions and leave comments and help guide the conversation a little or join in. I have an old Nichigen, good for looking at. Nichigen.
Haven't seen that name.
Yeah. So is that an archtop as well? And what do you know about it? I guess Margaret said that.
Sounds like it's Japanese.
Sounds Japanese. And what was that Japanese one I found? Matsui? No. Because remember, Peter restored one, and we're like, we don't know what this thing is. And then I found out it was Japanese made. Archtop guitar with a sound hole.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember what the name was.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some, even in the pre-good. Because we think about Japanese guitars, we think of the super cheap ones of the early 70s, late 60s. But in that time frame, there was also well-made Japanese guitars, just very few of them. Japan was from making. Did you see the new Guild Surfiner?
No.
Surfine. Nice price point. Not Starfire. You're not talking about the Starfire? Hold on a second. Let me just hang this back up so I don't knock it over. And we'll talk about, I guess it's show and tell day.
Okay, you're going to get the old Guild?
No, it's not an old Guild.
Oh, it's a new Guild. It looks
Guild.
like an old Guild. A T.
Yeah.
200 or.
So speaking of guilds,
Starfire?
this is a Starfire.
Yeah.
And it's a cool one. It came with a story as well. Someone bought it, and he doesn't know how to play guitar. He bought it because during the financial catastrophe of 2008, he went bankrupt. And after that, he had to somehow rebuild his credit. And usually to do that, you buy get a gas station card, and then you try to get, And he went to, according to him, Sweetwater was the only company that would give him credit. And so with Sweetwater, he bought a guitar, and he hung it on the wall, and it just hung there because he didn't play guitar. He bought it so he could pay it off and start building credit. And so he brought it in. It's time to finally get rid of this thing. So it literally never has been played. It's a made in Korea version of this Starfire.
That's when Fender owned them?
Yeah, Fender did own them, but made probably maybe by Samick or one of those big Korean or Young Chen or one of those big Korean manufacturers. But well-made, great sounding guitar. The new ones are probably also good, but there's a few years where they weren't good. That's the thing about most guilds I'm finding. New guilds, fine. Guilds a year or two old, probably fine. Guilds 10 years old, watch out.
It was Fender.
It was when Fender, Fender moved production to China eventually, I think, on a lot of guitars. So.
Sad story.
Yeah, and they didn't mean to do it. I think we addressed that before.
Yep.
The Guild Sage, white one. The Surfliner. That's what it's called. No, I have not seen the Guild Surfliner.
No.
But like I said, the Guild is now owned by Cordoba.
Yeah.
Is that true? And they're doing nice things. Yeah. And Chinese production has gotten better in the last 10 years. And so even though they're made in China, they are, the ones that are made in China are excellent. They do some U.S. made guitars too, I think. But you mentioned Guild, so I wanted to show this Starfire. And it's a pretty exacting.
Starfire 5.
Yeah. It's a pretty exacting reproduction.
Yeah.
It's got the Bigsby. Yeah, you can fool you from a look, except it's actually stays in tune and plays in tune.
I've always been a Guild fan.
Yeah.
I still think I've frequently told people that the best acoustic guitar I ever played was a Guild. It was the first year I figured out at one point. 56 was the first year of Guild.
Yeah.
And I had a 56 Guild D30 probably.
Yeah.
And it was just best good. I still, when I
Yeah.
strum a great guitars, and I think the Guild was better than this. Really good, but I'm not sure.
And Guild was not a guitar making company originally. They were a accordion maker.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, they were an accordion maker who that was the Sonola.
Oh, yes, right.
And they decided, well, I guess this guitar thing is picking up. We should make a few guitars too.
Right.
And they, probably the Guild part of it was they probably had a small group of guitar makers. the Guild guitars,
Right.
And because they didn't want to sully their Sonola brand by calling it a guitar. They wanted to, so they had to come up with a new name, and so Guild was the new name. And all anyone remembers is Guild.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to play the accordion anymore.
Whoops. A bit of minutia. My wife and I just bought a house, and our mortgage is with a bank in Westerly, Rhode Island.
Oh.
Wait, I know that name. Many people in the world know about Westerly, Rhode Island.
Okay, let me catch up with the room here. An old clunker, the Nietzschegan. So maybe she was saying, yes, this is about the Nietzschegan guitar. So yeah, some of those guitars, not so good. Some of them were. Some just need a lot of work. The mahogany guilds, like Nick Drake used. Yep, yeah, those all mahogany guilds.
Mahogany acoustic.
Yeah,
the M's.
Yeah, although they made a lot of them in the '80s that were dreadnought, and those are hit or miss because they all kind of did the collapse.
Oh,
thing,
yes, right. The D15s,
and they were super cheap. You could buy them for $399 or something at Daddy's back then, and unfortunately, a lot of them have not stood the test of time.
Was that little left-handed one around here that I keep telling you got to get someday from?
Oh yeah, somebody comes in with a beautiful left-handed Guild.
She got a 74. Yeah. She bought it brand new when she was in college, left-handed. And Mark's left-handed.
We should get her to
Parlor Guild mahogany. Yeah. It's killer.
She brings it in once a year, gets it restrung.
Yeah,
makes me look at it.
Right,
then leaves.
Right.
Speaking of K's, right?
Is a harmony or make silver tones, but without the pickups, it's hard to tell.
This is a harmony, I think. Yeah. So we're doing Archstop show and tell. Here's a weird one for you folks. This is a Silvertone branded guitar made by Harmony. I think it's the H150 something. Does that sound familiar? Someone out there, the Google. There is a little stamp inside
somewhere.
This is a popular one, but you'll notice the pickups have been changed. Somebody wanted an ES175 or whatever. What's the thin body one? Single cutaway, thin body.
Gibson? Yeah. 125?
No, thin body. Double humbucker. Thin body.
Semi-hollow?
Yeah. Oh. Chris Griner's got one.
Oh, 335.
No, it's not the 335. 335 double cutaway. Single cut.
Why am I drawing a blank?
220. They made a 220 and a 2. Anyways, someone wanted a Gibson guitar, and they didn't have enough money, so they took their Silvertone and Gibsonized it.
Oh.
They put these two humbuckers in here. They put a Gibson-style bridge, and I think the tailpiece is swapped out too. A three-way switch here. Gibson knobs. They probably rewired the whole thing.
Should have a wound G on there.
And then they put some fancier tuners and what came on it. And then it came here in terrible state.
Did they paint it, or is that the factory black?
This is a factory black that has been, I think it was buffed so much that it kind of lost its luster or something. Or, yeah, it needs more buffing. Either it's been buffed too much or it needs more buffing. But yeah, original paint, that's for sure. Plays and sounds good. And people pick it up all the time. And so if this had the original pickups, these things sell for like twice as much. We're asking $7.99.
Yeah.
And this are the original pickups. These are going for like 16 probably these days.
So
It's
from the
pretty crazy.
60s, I would guess.
135 is what Michael Krause suggests. Yeah, that could be the single
135.
cutaway.
Yeah.
2 humbucker. So the archtop show. So that's our vintage archtop. We have 2 of them.
Yeah.
I guess this bears a little conversation for a second about people come in and they say, do you have used guitars?
Hmm.
And we're like, yeah, we got plenty of used guitars. This Gibson here is used. It's $4,000. And
Right.
so no. They want a cheap guitar, and it's hard to find. Or they look around and see so many new guitars. They're like, do you have any used guitars? And it's like, yes, we have a few. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have maybe 10 of them. And we prefer used guitars. We love used guitars. We love getting used guitars and fixing them and having unique things, one-of-a-kind stuff around. You just can't find them anymore.
Yeah.
Like we would rather have a store full of used guitars.
That was the original intention.
Yeah. And they're just really hard to find used guitars. And so right now we have 2 archtops that are used. Well, 3 that are used, 2 that are vintage. Well, they're all used
I
actually.
think it was right
Those
after
are
Christmas,
today.
around Christmas time, past Christmas.
Yeah.
There's a little rack over here that holds 5 or 6 guitars, and it was full of $99 to $129
Yeah.
guitars. And I don't know, I wasn't here for some reason for a few days. Somebody came in. You got any good, $100 guitars? I said, yeah, right over there. There's a bunch of them. They were all gone. They're all in the rack. Was now Squires.
Yeah.
$239, $279.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked Mark the next day. He said, well, one guy bought 4 of them or something. And then the other 2 was like, bam, they were gone. So yeah, they're hard to get and they're easy to sell.
Yeah, and then you get that little bit of extra value, not paying the drive it off the lot fee. I think so Michael says, I think Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace has killed the used market for many things as far as stores go. It's true, yeah. That people want to sell things on their own, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you like meeting mentally ill people in parking lots, then Craigslist. I used to try to sell things on Craigslist. I just gave up. Because it seems like it's just people got a story, and because there's no it costs nothing to list things, and it costs nothing really to buy them. So it's just
right.
It's a good place for people who aren't going to buy or sell something to pretend like they're buying or selling something. I haven't had a lot of. I mean, sometimes you get a deal, sure, and that happens anywhere. Did you folks ever go to Wurlitzer's in the '80s in Boston?
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping. It was really hopping back then, in the early '80s. Daddy's Junkie around the corner, and Lafayette's spot for
Jack's Drum Shop. That's
Jack's Drum Shop down there too. Yeah.
Oh, within 2 blocks. Berkeley. This was before Daddy's was there, but Jack's Drum Shop, Wurlitzer. I don't know if there was another one that close. Seems like there was a back street one, but yeah, I remember going to Wurlitzer. It was always a memorable experience. They had a ton of stuff.
And I guess the question is, where are all these guitars?
I met Pat Metheny there.
There you go.
I was looking for. We're about the same age.
Yeah,
we were he was teaching at Berkeley. He was 22 or something.
Was he showing off in the?
No. I was there with my friend John.
Was he working there?
And no, John and I walked in. Yeah. Pat's standing there. John had just finished his first year at Berkeley and taking lessons from Metheny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, hey, Pat. Hey, John. How you doing? This is my friend Gary. Yeah. How you been? He said, oh, I just had a busy year. I did 350 dates in 1 year. That's a lot of gigs. That's every day almost. So, great shop. 5 story. Was it 5 stories? 3 stories. Repairs, used stuff.
Yeah, and all that stuff is gone.
Yeah.
See, either people have it and they're not selling it, or there's just too much demand for American guitars and they're just all over the world now. Because I remember, as Chris Perrin mentioned this to me, there was at one time someone did the math, added up Gibson, Fender, Harmony, UK, all the big American companies, added up all the production numbers every year,
Right.
and figured there was about 100 million guitars
Oh.
made in America between 50 and 80, whenever they did the thing. And at the time, there was 350 million Americans, which meant there was essentially one guitar for every 4 Americans.
Right.
And that was enough guitars.
Well,
that's why they didn't cost a lot of money. That's why there were stores full of them.
Right.
It's like, there's enough guitars here, and so we just buy and sell and trade them, throw them out, and all this. That is just over. So Michael says, I met some very nice people in very odd locations to do transactions. Yeah, that's the yeah. Only went to the bus depot after hours. Yeah. So if I was going to rob someone and take their guitar, I would ask them to meet me in a parking lot after hours. Right. And one day I was selling some rims off a car on Craigslist for $100 for 4 BMW rims, and guy's like, okay, yeah, okay, I'm in. So I met him in the parking lot, and hopefully that's right here they are. And he just stands there and goes, you take $60 for him? Because we'd already agreed on 100. Right. And I was like, nope. Closed the trunk, started, getting in the car. No, okay, I'll pay them. Like, nope, you're not buying them.
I didn't take it.
Yeah, no. I was like, that's low life behavior. Right. I don't want, and because we already made the deal, and he just wanted me, to think that, I got to lower the price, or this guy's going to walk away. But I ended up walking away. Right. That might have been the last thing I sold on Craigslist. I don't remember. All right. The one thing that is lacking is amps and cabs that are in the upper range. How folks can drop 4K on a combo without hearing it. Sure would like, and Sure with an H, so not the microphone company, would like to try an Ampeg and Mesa Boogie. Okay. One thing lacking is amps, so high-end amps. You mean a store where you can try those out? We actually have a lot of high-end amps in here right now.
But amps and
not
cabs?
Super high-end.
There's no demand around here.
Yeah. I got to turn them away.
It's more than 50 watts, and it doesn't fit in the back seat of a Camry. They don't want it.
No, the East is pretty cool for sure.
But that's
an amp and a cab, but it's a tiny cab. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big change in the industry right now. Everyone wants small stuff, and people don't need things to be as powerful.
I remember going to, I think it was at Portsmouth High School. Woody and I went to a Battle of the Bands. Mm-hmm. And somebody had warned us, one of the bands is, you won't believe how loud they are. It's unbelievable how loud they are. So we sat through the whole thing, and one band was loud, but, not bad. And later, what'd you think? Da-da-da-da-da. Now it's that loud band. He said, did you mean this one? I said, that's not loud.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was playing in rock and roll bands in 50-seat clubs 3 times louder than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an SVT in a 2,000 square foot room on 5, and I wasn't too loud.
At the time, I think people just lost their appetite for loud music.
Right. If you didn't feel it, you weren't loud enough.
Yeah, especially the bass, I suppose. And there was, when I played on Jupiter 2, we used to have some deaf people who would come to the shows.
To feel it. Right.
So I played in this garage rock this loud. Literally, they come to the shows and they dance. And their dancing wouldn't quite sync up with the music, but they were like, one girl would be doing this Charleston moves and stuff, like really dancing up a storm, and just a little, because I guess the sound waves hitting you is different when you're in the ears, and the dancing would be just slightly out of sync. But man, they had a good time.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was a way for them to enjoy music. It was just pummeled.
Had to be loud though.
Yeah, so they actually liked their band. Yes, there's a Fender 435 head for sale near me, $1,000 for a 435 watt head that has 6 power tubes and is supposed to drive 3 cabinets. Not much of a market for that amp. Yeah, the Fender 435. Wow, that would be.
Unless you're in a Coliseum, and there's no club in maybe in New England that's big enough.
Yeah, I'd
to,
say because PAs have gotten so much better,
well, that too.
you just
Right.
don't need to be as loud on stage.
Right.
The person at the back of the room doesn't have to hear your bass coming out of your amp.
Right.
Because before there'd be a little of the bass coming through the PA, but it wouldn't be, wouldn't sound great.
Right.
But now PAs sound so much better that like it really, yeah. But you could get this 435 watt Fender head because you'll have a lot of headroom.
Right.
You'll be using about 3 of those watts to play, and everything else is headroom.
Right.
Very expressive. That's the. That's what I guess the bottom line on that.
Right.
And the more headroom, the better.
Well, I switched to the B15 eventually because B15 on 8 actually sounded better than an SVT on 4.
Yeah. B15 on 8 is about as loud as you want a B15. Yeah.
Past that,
And you
too
just
much
got
distortion.
barely touch the bass. Or
But on 8,
yeah. Yeah, B15 is a favorite of mine too. So
Yeah.
no arguing with that. There was something else that popped in my mind. Oh, there's something else I'd like to tell people. I should have told people at the beginning of the show. I own about 3 or 4 of these black shirts with checks. So if you see like me wearing the same shirt every week, it's not actually the same shirt. I own a bunch of shirts. They all just kind of look the same. So it just occurred to me. I just kind of let when we tested the look here.
Tie.
Yeah.
You can do a different tie.
Different
every
tie.
week.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, they're going to, I bet I wear this shirt. It looks like I wear this shirt all the time because I have so many shirts that are like literally identical. I'm not even talking about like, oh, this shirt kind of looks like this one. I just found some shirts that fit me 10 years ago and I bought them all. And I bought 4 of each and I brought a few of them to Europe and I left them all over the place. So I just have shirts.
Oh, so
everywhere.
these are the same shirts you bought 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. I just have a surplus of, I got, so if you watched our YouTube videos, you've seen my whole fashion collection. I have about 3 or 4 of the ones that are blue, dark blue with some checks. And then the blue, the light blue and white checked ones, I'm down to just one of them. The others have been ruined. And yeah. So,
Well, I'm the same way with sweatshirts, but I have at least probably 12 different ones.
yeah, that's the thing. It just looks like I'm constantly wearing the same clothes. Right. And I just wear the same jeans, except I have my closet looks like Fred Flintstone's closet. Just all the same thing.
Right.
I don't know why I felt I had to tell you folks that, but I guess I'm opening up today. So if the tubes are good, it might be worth $1,000. Yeah, I guess depending on what the tubes are. If it has some Sylvanias in there, and there's 6 of them, and a bunch of
The 6550s.
it probably to be that loud, it must be
Probably.
basically an Ampeg SVT for
Right.
guitar.
Right. Oh, it's a guitar amp.
According to this, it said Fender 435.
It was a bass amp. Never heard of it, but
Oh, I had not heard it either, but we will Google it after the show.
I thought 200 watts was
Don't
the
go
all-time
anywhere.
guitar amp record. But
Maybe. For tube amps, that is. And now they make 1,000-watt amps are this big.
yeah, well,
So.
they say they're 1,000 watts. Put it next to your 100-watt tube amp and see what happens.
Yeah, there's loudness perception, which is a big thing.
Right.
Let's see. Anything else in the room? So once again, everyone, just chime in if you got anything that you want to talk about. Do we have any more subjects for today? Trying to think of.
I didn't have any to begin with. So.
Yeah, so we've gotten pretty far on very little. But
Right.
let us know if there's something that.
Well, again, if anybody has the K book
Yeah.
and saw the holding the old K archtop, and they can tell us what it is.
Let us know if you know something.
Anything. Because there ain't nothing out there about it.
Fender P400s.
Oh,
What's that?
that rings a bell.
P400S or
I almost said it's
That
a
would be
PA amp. No.
yeah, you know what? They made this thing that was like a Fender PA amp,
No,
but it had
the
tubes in it,
number 400 too,
and it had. I think it didn't even have XLR ends. It just had quarter-inch ends.
or something. Yeah.
That was in the when
The box.
when the CBS era like really was kicking off. They just wanted lots of innovation, so they made PAs. They bought the Leslie company, and they did the Vibratone speakers and all that. They were just making all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
400 PS. Yeah, that could be it. It's a bass amp, according to Jimmy. Can you power a 2600 watt cab with 1200 watts? Sure.
How do you know it's a 2600 watt cab?
That is that's a lot.
So it's got 2600 watt speakers in it?
It's got
Or 13 200 watt speakers.
yeah, or
6.5.
Sounds like a pretty. I don't know about the 2600 watt cab thing because that's high watt. You'd have to have 400 watt speakers, and that had to be
A bunch of them.
a bunch of them.
5,
4 times 6,
7.
6.5.
Yeah. The most powerful. There used to be like a 400 watt 15-inch speaker, but that's the most I ever heard of.
So yeah. Anyways, as long as your cab wattage rating is higher than your amp, you can just run anything into it.
Right.
And so there's no fear, and you just get no speaker distortion.
It's like I had a number of customers who come in over the years. They bought a little, 10 watt practice amp. Can I use that with my Marshall 4x12 cab? I said, why not? Well, it's only 10 watts. So, is that enough to move the speakers? Sure, you could move it with half a watt. It just won't be that loud.
Yeah. And then speaker efficiency actually figures into this quite a bit too.
Right.
You can plug in the same head into different cabinets and get different volumes of loudness out of it because of that, which is a lot of this in this 5 watt, kind of amp craze thing. Which is why some of them can be ridiculously loud,
right?
And where others aren't.
Speaker is a big part of the picture.
So Lewis said, boom bass cab, Sweetwater. 2 10s and a 15 with a horn, and they say 20. They rated it at 2600 watts
for the two of them. So it's a 2600 watt PA system
at 1 amp. No, this is you're getting two conversations confused here.
Oh,
Lewis is talking about the 2600 watt cab, which apparently Sweetwater is marketing, called the boom bass cab.
Okay.
So.
We trust those guys, so if they say so.
Why not? Yeah. You can claim anything at that point because who's going to find an amp that can push that much wattage?
7 times louder than an SVT? Probably not.
Probably not. If Scissor Fight, actually, if anyone wants one of the SVTs that belong to Scissor Fight, Jarvis called and he says he's selling one of his SVTs. He's like, hey, what's that?
The cab and everything?
Yeah, cab and the head. And he's like, and I was like, man, we just don't have a place to put it. And that you can't get good money. Sell it now if you're going to sell it because they're hard to sell now.
Right.
But I don't know where to put it.
Yeah.
So where do you show an SVT anymore? Not in this place. So, but if anyone wants an SVT, we'll hook you up. So let us know. But he would play with 2 SVTs on stage.
Right.
And there ain't nothing louder than that.
Not in my experience.
Not north of Cape Canaveral.
Right. One's plenty loud enough for me.
Yeah.
Although 2 cabs is nice. Did that once. 2 8x10s. That was fun.
Yeah. And then only car audio is putting out that kind of power. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, and especially when you talk about car audio, if they say it's 2,000 watts, it's 2,000 watts at a quarter ohm.
Right.
They can do all sorts of lying to make fudge the numbers. And make
every time you have the ohms, you double the power rating.
Yeah.
So if you start at 8 ohms, 200 watts, put it into 4 ohms, it's 800 watts. Put it in 2 ohms, it's 1,600 watts. Put it in 1 ohm, it's 3,200 watts. It's the same 400 watts into a regular 8 ohm speaker.
Yeah.
And apparently the federal law lets you do that somehow.
There is it's poorly regulated how you can advertise the thing.
The rules are pretty broad.
Yeah.
You can't test anything into smaller than half amp load or something.
Yeah, something. There's some kind of requirement. I don't even know if it's federal or whatever, but there's some kind of agreement about what you can fudge and what you can't. But
right.
And then someone says put it on the side and use it as a counter. Yeah, the SVT.
Well, that was super cool. That was Rick Danko and a few other cool guys. They always put their SVT on
sideways.
The side.
Yeah. I saw Rick playing, and he did. He had it
Yeah.
on side. That's
Yeah.
true. I guess a slightly better bass response.
A slightly bigger stage.
Yeah.
I didn't play
Yeah.
many stages where I could lay that down. Well, you don't want to help me lift it up there. I'm going to lay it down.
Yeah.
No, okay, I'll help you lift.
Rick, he probably ended up on the smaller stages, but and don't forget the testing at 14.5 volts. And there goes Ford at 13 volts. Okay, yeah. So when they talk about car stereos, American cars run at a lower voltage than European cars, and so they can.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So an idling German car is 14.5 volts,
Yeah.
and an idling American car is 13.1 or something. It was explained to me. And it's
German
just,
cars don't idle anymore. They all have that.
yeah, they just stop when
As soon as you get down to zero, it shuts off.
Yeah, can't even idle anymore.
First time it happened to me, I was like, "Uh-oh, what happened?"
The car broke.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Dad. It's okay. Just wait for the light and step on the gas. Oh my God, it started by itself.
All right. So pretty soon we're going to have to do the wrap it up. So let us know if there's anything else you want to talk about. In the meantime, I'll start doing the rapidly up things.
Mhm.
Make sure you subscribe and like while you're watching it, because that, while the live is happening, that somehow helps us become
Right.
visible.
The
And,
YouTube matrix.
yeah.
we're in,
Algorithm kind of thing.
however that
And
works.
then we do this every Wednesday, and usually we have more things to talk about. But this week flew by with just a few things. Although we saw some cool arch tops with some cool binding. Look at the binding on that neck. That's double bound. That's beautiful. And what else do I have to tell everyone? Every Wednesday, 6 o'clock, that's when we do it. Check out our other YouTube videos. We have informational videos, 5-minute videos. We got 1-minute videos. We
do?
got videos.
Well, who's going to be here next week?
Who's going to be the guest? I don't know yet.
Oh, you haven't got somebody lined
No,
up?
I should really have this scheduled out quite a bit. But so Gary's doing every other week now.
Right.
So I got to get a guest host every other week. And next week, actually going to see Paul McCartney. So maybe I can ask Paul if he'll come up and do it.
Oh,
Because he'll be in town, right, on Tuesday and Wednesday.
where's he playing?
He's got a show at Fenway Park.
Oh, that's right.
I think he's playing Wednesday too, so we'd have to
Oh.
let him go early.
Yeah.
That might be tough.
Well, invite him up for a cookout at the house. Is the pool functioning now?
No, I don't have a pool going
Well,
yet.
maybe he'll help you clean it.
But I
Stuff.
got a lot of left-handed guitars you'll want to try
Right,
out.
right.
You know, let's see.
And they come by and we'll do the stream. And
I do.
I'll put you on the bus back to Fenway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll drive you to the C&J bus stop, and then you
He
go
might
down
say
to
yes.
North Station. Yeah, he's a nice guy from what I'm told. So, all right, folks, starting to sign out. So we're going to sign out too. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Stand by for the end. Say goodnight, Gary.
Good night, everybody, all over the world.